How's everybody doing? I'm hoping everybody's having a beautiful day. Let me fix this camera real quick if y'all don't mind. Boom. And then boom. Let me fix this camera a little bit. We got a lot to talk about today. Let me plug this phone in real quick. So we all clear. Somebody came into the chat the other day and they wanted to talk about the validity of the comment. They was talking about they wanted to talk about the validity of the comment of the witness of for YNW Melly. I didn't know if I wanted to have that conversation yesterday. So therefore, I decided that we were going to talk about what we were talking about, and I didn't want to steer in that direction because I didn't see enough of his testimony in order to be able to have an informed diagnosis of what actually happened. So we're going to be talking about that today, just so we can be clear. I saw much of his testimony, if not all of his testimony. I'm not clear if I saw it all or not. So we're going to talk about that. I got a couple of things to say. And just so we could be clear, as always, when we talk about these things that involve law, be a little bit open-minded and understand that opinions don't matter as much as y'all think it do. I know there's a lot of people that think that's all that matters is opinions. Facts don't matter. But when you're dealing with a court of law, it's literally what you could prove. What up, Juno? Salute. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope everything is going well with you and yours. What up, Young Earl? Says good morning. Jack Rose, BB and family. Salute, salute. Matter of fact, we're gonna do roll call at the 5-minute mark. We're gonna do. I'm just doing my monologue right now at the 5-minute mark. The show is gonna start. We're gonna do roll call because there's a couple of things that I want to say. Also, we're gonna talk about Carlee. Is it Carlee? Am I saying that right? Carlee Russell. Am I saying that name right? Carlee Russell. I think I'm saying that name right. And we're gonna discuss Carlee Russell today also. I find a lot of things interesting involving this particular situation. And I think one of the things that we need to 100% focus on is that we're not living in a time that is healthy for, I want to say Americans in general, but it's not healthy for us, mentally healthy for us in the time that we're living in. The way that the internet is constructed and created, you have negativity wins more than positivity. So I just think that we have a situation where there's a lot of mental health issues that are being created. And a lot of these mental health issues are being created because of all the hate in the world. Give me 1 second. Because of all the hate in the world. Because of I think this thing with everybody thinks trolling is the thing to do, to just go and insult people. I think a lot of that has to do with people's mental health nowadays. And I'm not sure what was going on with that lady, but when I explain or when we have the discussion about all the things that was happening, you're going to be like, wow, this chick's over here is. So we're going to have that conversation a little bit later today also, just so we could be clear. There was another thing that I wanted to mention. There's a situation that happened in Philly that I've been, somebody sent me some information on. I think we're going to be talking about that a little bit later today. It's a situation that had happened in Philly. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later today. But I do want to mention one thing before the show starts. Then we're going to do roll call and we're going to go. There is a new, I don't know how new it is. I mean, I just heard it. But it's a country music song where the guy in the song is basically explaining that, talking about sundown towns. For the people who don't know what a sundown town is, basically that's one of those towns where if you're black or a person of color in general, if you get caught in this town after sundown, you will most likely be lynched. So I'm saying that to say, one, sundown town still exists to this day. I know, we live in America. People think it doesn't, but they still exist to this day. But this was a really big problem in earlier America. That's just the way I'm going to put it. I'm not going to put it to no particular time frame because basically black people had a book that we used to have so we know which towns to go to and which towns to avoid for when we traveled. This is a thing. There's a television show actually on Netflix and the people, the main characters, that's actually what their job was. I forgot the name of the show. It has Jonathan Majors in it. It's a really good show. Go check it out. With that being said, let's do roll call and get to the show. I'm gonna start back over from the beginning. Shout out to Juno. He says Jack Frost, BBN, salute. Hope everything is going well with you and you. Oh, one more thing I wanted to mention. So some senators pulled up to my community on Tuesday. I missed it. I missed it. I want to apologize to y'all guys about this. Some senators pulled up to our community. I need to hopefully I need to stay apprised. I need to stay informed on what's happening in our community center over here. But some senators pulled up to the community center on Tuesday. I wish I would have knew so I could have been in there, if not anything else, to go live and we could see what they were doing and saying, and keep everybody informed, if not anything else. The next time something like that happens, I'm going to try to make sure that I'm on top of it, and I'm going to try to make sure that we're doing that. Also, August 1st in Seagate, in Coney Island, I'm actually going to be a part of a thing. They have we're going to have a big event out here. It's going to have, police is putting the event on for the community. Pull up, come through, have fun. There should be food, drinks. If you want to buy merchandising, I'm pretty sure somebody's going to be selling something. With the end, there's going to be basketball games. There's going to be things for the kids. I don't know if there's going to be any bouncy houses yet. I think I'm going to go ask. But with that being said, everybody, let's get to the show. Let's do roll call real quick. Shout out to Juno. He says, Jack Frost, BB, and salute, my brother. All of the Muskers. Young Earl says, good morning, Jack Frost, BB and family. Salute, my brother. Double salute. Juno says, bless God, bless bro, bless you. Pretty chocolate girl. We love them pretty chocolate girls. She says, morning, Rose. Brooklyn Rose then responded after the fact. I don't know how that happened. She says, good morning to everybody. What up, Toxic Avenger? He says, yeah. How you doing, my brother? Hope everything is going well with you and yours. Tori Mosley says, there are many sundown towns today, especially in the South where I live. Southern black folks online often before driving to new areas to see if they were sundown towns. This is a fact. Something to be mindful of. I don't know the name of the artist. I forget his name. If you know the name of the artist that made the song, put it in the chat. But country music, CMT, pardon me, I think they banned the song or some shit like that. It's crazy. Anyway, with that being said, let's get to the YNW Melly situation. If you haven't seen the guy on the stand being a witness for YNW Melly, I want you to be mindful before you comment whether you say the witness should be believed or whether you say the witness shouldn't be believed. I think that you should see it for yourself, so you can get your own opinion on the way that he is responding to the questions and or answering the questions, or however you feel about it. Shout out to Darkwing. He puts the Cash App in the chat. If you would like to support the platform, you could always pull up to the Cash App, Super Chat, and or PayPal. Also, in the link, we have a store in our link. You could pull up to our store and buy some products, or you could join the Green Team. First of all, everybody should join the Green Team. With that being said, Homeboy takes the stand. So we had somebody in the chat yesterday. I can't remember precisely who it was, but we had somebody in the chat yesterday. And one of the things that they were saying is that they do not believe that this individual was believable. They said, their reasoning for saying that he wasn't believable was basically saying that he was a friend of Melly, so he's lying. My argument against that is, if we're going to say that somebody is related or associated to an individual anytime they take the stand, who are going to be most of the people that's going to take the stand? I mean, in any case, whenever you have somebody, often when you have people that take the stand that aren't the police or forensic or someone in that type of field, often it is somebody, not every time, obviously, but often it is somebody that knows one of the parties. So I don't think that we can come to a consensus. I don't think we should come to a consensus that if an individual knows one of the parties, then if they speak in favor of that party, they shouldn't be believed. So if they speak against that party, should they be believed? You understand how that goes? That's just a Pandora's box saying that you should or you shouldn't believe somebody based on their relation to the individual in which they're speaking with. I don't think that that's fair. That's one. Two, after actually sitting down and watching the guy's testimony, there's a shitload I want to say on it. Actually sitting down and watching the guy's testimony, I'm saying to you, I don't think that anybody should give an opinion on this testimony unless they hear it themselves. So now I'm going to tell you what the dude said. At the 10-minute mark, right on time. So I want to be clear about something. And I'm going to start off by saying this. This is in the middle of his testimony. The defense team asks him a question about the passing of the two dudes and Melly's, I believe, response. And the fact that when that question got asked, he looked directly at Melly. And he did not have soft eyes. It's like his appearance said one thing, but his lips said another. I want to also add something real quick. There's a point when they asked him a question. The question that they asked him was, who was all in the car at some point? And he starts saying names. Now you see, allegedly, this is what psychiatrists say, psychologists say. This is what they say in the mental health field. Just when they're speaking about people and how often people, to try to gauge whether somebody is telling the truth. Often when we're having a memory, we look up to one side. And in other times, when we're creating an image, like when we're using our imagination, our eyes look to the other side of our head and up. Everybody does this. It's just a thing. When he mentioned the names of the people in the car, he spoke with a tone that was different. His body language was different. His response had different energy than with all the other questions that were asked. I think in that moment, he was telling the unadulterated truth. I think everything else that he said could be left up to question. So when you go take a polygraph, before they actually ask you the questions of whatever they're trying to find out, they do a baseline. They ask you a set of questions that are all false, and you have to say that they're true, and vice versa. So they could get a baseline. So when I look at this dude give his testimony, and the way in which he gave his testimony was extremely consistent until he got to this one point where he said something that there was no reason for him to lie about. It leads me to believe that the rest of his testimony might not have been honest. I'm not saying it all was dishonest. I'm not saying it was all a lie. I'm saying that there is a chance that he might not have been 100% honest. The omission of truth or fact is also a lie. So if somebody asks you a question about a thing and you omit a thing, you can't later say, well, you didn't ask me specifically about that. You know that I did. You omitted that on purpose in order to be able to shape my reaction. That's a lie. So let's talk about where he places Melly at first. So they have the video evidence of Melly getting into the black car. 4 people got into the black car. 4 people got into the red car. This is the way that I understand it. If it actually happens different, let me know. 10K Management, or whatever that guy's name is, was one of the individuals that got into the red car. So it was the guy on the stand, 10K management, the driver, and another person. Homeboy that was on the stand was sitting in the back. How do I know he was sitting in the back? He said they either had to move over or climb when Melly got into the vehicle with them. I'm going to talk about his inconsistencies too. I just want to give y'all a baseline. What he says happens is, at some point after they left the studio, they stopped down the road. And when they stopped down the road, Melly got out of that car and got into the car that they were in. They then went home. Both of the cars were supposed to be driving together. So basically, we all at the party. They was at the studio, by the way. We all at the party or the studio. We decide to go home because we all live together. We go downstairs. We jump in, 4 in this car, 4 in that car. We take off. And then down the road, somebody gets out of one car, which has 4 people, the normal capacity that is allowed in the vehicle to sit comfortably. And they decide to get into the other car, making that car, which had 4 people, now have 5 people, so they can't sit there comfortably. Now, before I say any more, put it in the chat if there's something about this I have an issue with. If you think you know what I have an issue with, put it in the chat. There's something about this I have an issue with. If you think you know what it is, put it in the chat. So, Melly gets into that car, allegedly. They then drive to Melly's home. One of the arguments that one of the things they wanted the jury to know, apparently, is that Melly and Bortland were the only ones with keys to the house. They were both in the same car. They were the only ones with keys to the house. But they're all going to the same place. Just keep that in mind. He said Melly got in the car with them. He said they then went home. He said the black car never showed up. At some point, they found out that there was a drive-by or whatever. And then they went to Fredo Bang's house. Then they went to Fredo Bang's house. Y'all think we should go stand outside? I might want to get some sun. I think we should stand outside or we should stay inside. Put it in the chat. Before I go any further, I want to explain something to y'all. So I heard somebody talking, an actual lawyer. It was YNW Melly lawyers before the lawyer that he have right now. He switched lawyers at some point. That lawyer said, or that lawyer just isn't in the courtroom. I don't know. I think he just switched lawyers. That lawyer says that he doesn't know if he would have called any witnesses. He basically said he doesn't even know how this witness helps. I want to explain something, and I'm never going to stop saying this until people get it. You are not supposed to be up there trying to prove your innocence. You're only supposed to be trying to prove that the prosecution doesn't have a case. You're not supposed to be up there trying to prove you didn't do a thing. Because by trying to prove you didn't do a thing, you might literally make it look like you did do it, even though you didn't do it. So you're not supposed to be trying to prove you didn't do nothing. Do you understand how often I try to tell y'all, you can't prove you really didn't do it? Like, you can't prove you didn't do it. Like, unless there's actual physical evidence that someone else did it, you can't prove you didn't do anything half of the time. Never try to prove you didn't do anything. You understand what I'm saying? First of all, that's how narcissists try to make you go crazy. They accuse you of doing something you didn't do, and then they watch you go crazy trying to prove that you didn't do it. That's why I keep trying to tell y'all, stop believing what people say about other people. Why would you help an evil motherfucker try to ruin another nigga life? Evil people don't attack other evil people. They only attack good people, fam. When have you ever seen evil people attacking other evil people? They don't do that. Evil people generally work together. Satan isn't going to attack himself, man. There's only one war going on out here. Satan against the things, pardon me, God against the things that hate God. That's the only war. There is no other war. The war is God, who's riding with God, who F's with God, and the people who want to see the destruction of everything that God wants to come into reality. That's the only fight, fam. Good against evil. There is no other fight. So dude said he wouldn't have called anybody, most likely. They would have just rested their case. What they could have did was this. And I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't what Esquire Montgomery Esquire wanted to do. I wouldn't be surprised if this is what he wanted to do, but he felt like he couldn't because of some of the accusations that was made by the prosecution during the trial. And one of the things that you could do, because you're not supposed to be trying to prove your innocence, is when it's time to present your case, you just simply say, we don't think that the prosecution proved their case. We don't have any witnesses. The prosecution didn't prove anything. The prosecution said this. They didn't prove anything. We don't have any, we don't have anything, we don't have any witnesses, Your Honor. How often do I tell y'all you're not supposed to be trying to prove your innocence? You know what y'all try to do every time y'all say, well, the person that's convicted should have got on the stand. Y'all trying to prove your innocence. You're not in the court to try to prove your innocence, man. With all due respect, if these street dudes that's so smart, that always talk about how they know everything and know, I'm talking about specifically the ones that are saying, how do you say, Tax Stone went to jail because he didn't take the stand. Tory Lanez went to jail. Tory Lanez, he probably should have took the stand. That's a different situation. But for the people that saying Tax Stone went to jail because he didn't take the stand, it was murder, fam. And attempted murder. You do not put your client on the stand for murder and attempted murder, fam. Unless you have 100% bona fide evidence that they have to fucking talk about. And they the only one that could talk about it. We're talking about murder and attempted murder. We're not talking about... Did y'all see what happened to the dude that he's in jail now for he got convicted of murdering his son and murdering his wife? He took the stand. They gave him multiple lifetimes, I believe. So I get it. Y'all, a lot of people go on the way people talk in the street. Oh, man, y'all think all of these street lawyers is going to get y'all off with all of their street lawyer mentalities. I'm telling you they not. And I'm literally up here telling you people's strategies in court while they're doing them. And before they do them, I'm telling you what people are going to do in court, fam. I'm telling you what lawyers are going to do. Often. You don't put your client on the stand, fam. Especially in a fucking murder case. That's what in the hell? Now, if your client they're just like, look, we're going to take the stand. They don't care. You got to do what your client want to do. All right? Because what is going to happen? Later on, they're going to say, I told my counsel I wanted to do this and this and that. My counsel refused to do it. Then they're going to show proof you refused to do it. Now it's going to look like you was incompetent or some shit. Or you were trying to screw them over or some shit. At the end of the day, it's their job to do the thing that you want them to do. You understand? So I'm about to tell you why I believe he actually, after looking at the testimony even closer, why I believe he might have actually screwed YNW Melly. Would anybody like to know what that is? I want 20 likes. We got 48 people in here. We're a couple of likes away from 20. I want 20 likes. And I'm going to tell you where he quite possibly might have screwed YNW Melly over. I want 20 likes, though. I'm going to start talking about something else. If we don't get the 20 likes, we just don't get them. Another aspect that I wanted to discuss. Also, I hope I don't forget. I hope we don't get to 20 likes and I forget what I done talked about something else for so long that I'm not 100% sure where I want to come back to. So, no, if we get to 20 likes in a reasonable amount of time, obviously. If we get it like an hour later, don't ask me what I was going to say. With that being said, hold on. With that being said, we're moving on. So there was another thing that he said that I found interesting, right? He said they all use each other's phones. Yeah, I know most of these artists aren't even in control of their social media, right? You know, most of these artists have an assistant that actually sends the shit, to post the shit to social media for them, right? Or they have a their management team. I know this is a thing, right? I don't know if anybody knows it, whether this is a thing or not. So generally speaking, you'll have people that's part of an individual's management team. And while they are part of their management team, what they will go and do is they will post the stuff to Instagram. They'll respond to DMs, yada yada, this and this and that. So basically, what the witness was trying to say is that YNW Melly isn't the only one that uses his phone. I think that this actually would have been a good time for the defense team, if they were going to put this guy on, for the defense team to then go and call a witness that works in the music industry, for them to explain that often artists actually don't have control over their social media accounts. I think that if you were going to call this guy as a witness, I think that calling somebody as a witness to then say, yo, you know what? Most artists aren't in control of their social media accounts, yada, yada, this and this and that. I think that would have actually helped their point. I don't think they went far enough if they was going to go anywhere with it. I think, they was swinging for like a single, you know what I'm saying? And they might have struck out. You understand what I'm saying? Like they could have hit a home run, but they was just missed it by this much. I think if they would have had somebody come on that could confirm that often artists in social media, they don't control their social media accounts. I think that actually would have been a plus. But what you do is you don't necessarily bring the person who is supposed to be in control of YNW Melly's account. You just bring a random social media guy. I mean, you might open up another bag of worms, but I think you'll be supplanting inside of the jury's head that the artist isn't in control of 100% of their social media identity. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not in control of that. Maybe you also bring somebody up to talk about how an artist's image is controlled by the record labels. So then you could be like, well, we wrote songs like this because that's what the record label was asking for. I mean, there's things that the defense could have did to soften some of the hard edges on YNW Melly, in my belief. I mean, what do I know? Any regard. So he was trying to say that other people actually had access to the phone. He also admitted that he sometimes has access to the phone. Uh, I think we're not at 20 likes. If we get to 20 likes, I'll tell you where I think he messed up at. I think it's a big mess up. I don't know if the jury is gonna focus in on that. I haven't gotten the slightest idea, obviously, but I think that he made a. I think he said something that helps the prosecution immensely. But let's get to something else real quick. Should we step outside? I'm thinking about stepping outside. We got anybody in? Can somebody comment? I want to know if my comments are working. I don't even know if my comments are working right now. I hid 2 people. Sometimes when I gotta hide people, my comments stop working. So I have no idea if my comments is working. I don't know. I'm thinking about stepping outside in front of the house. Oh, appreciate you, young Earl. Salute. I'm thinking about stepping outside in front of the house. Should I step outside? I think I'm stepping outside in front of the house. I'm gonna step outside. I'm gonna go get some sunlight. Just hold on for one moment. Let me set up my other set up my other tripod. Give me one moment. Wow, fam. How is this even possible? What the fuck is that? Give me 1 second. All right, we're gonna come outside for a little while. Oh shit. How's everybody doing? Yeah, decided to come outside. See if I can raise this resolution some so I can see. Oh, nope, that's what it at. What the hell was that? All right, let's get to it. All right, so I want to be clear about something. I don't want there to be no misunderstanding. Let me just make sure real quick I got it on the right camera. All right, so I want to be clear about something. I don't want there to be no misunderstanding. Them putting that man on the stand, what they decided, what it looks like to me they needed to try to do was they wanted to remove YNW Melly from the situation. So they wanted to basically say the same thing that I was saying. The prosecution didn't actually place YNW Melly at the scene. They placed his phone at the scene. They placed the vehicle at the scene. but they didn't actually place YNW Melly at the scene. The person that they was going to use to place YNW Melly at the scene was when they was going to have the individual saying that he was contacting them over the phone. Those people decided that they did not want to testify. If you really remember about the case previously, a couple of years ago, they was actually supposed to have started the case a couple of times, but the prosecution kept coming forward saying that witnesses were changing testimony. So the prosecution kept coming forward, and they were saying that the witnesses was changing their testimony. So that's why it took so long for this case to actually start. Now, the witness changing their testimony, what that did was that made it so that now the prosecution can't say that YNW Melly was actually at the scene. So the defense took this as an opportunity to have this guy take the witness stand. Now, pay attention. So two things happen when you become a witness. Generally speaking, both sides usually try to get an opportunity to depose you. That's what happens. This is why they don't allow for people to come in just randomly. Like the shit that happened in the movies. Somebody run into the courtroom and say, I want to testify. And they be like, come on down. Like, that's not really something that happens. So you got to be deposed. So basically, what that is, you go and you give a deposition. You give a testimony, basically, of your opinion of the events, or a testimony. Let me move this phone into the shade so it don't overheat like it do sometimes. So you try to give your testimony. So what happens is, and this is why sometimes you don't want to call a witness up, is that if the witness then gets on the stand and they do what dude did and they start trying to say what the testimony is. Fuck. They try to say what their testimony is. We was about to go back inside. And they try to say what their testimony is, and what they're saying doesn't correspond with the testimony that they gave previously during their deposition, then they could be held accountable. So I'm waiting for y'all to get to 20 likes before I say this particular thing. That's why I'm trying to dance around it a little. So what ends up happening is, y'all at 20 likes. All right, so I run right through it. So what ends up happening is, dude gets on the stand and he gets asked the couple questions. And these questions that he get asked, he is now given, pardon me, dude gets on the stand. And the thing that he gave in the deposition for the prosecution, he gives different information while on the stand and being examined or being questioned by the defense counsel. So when the prosecution has the opportunity to then question him, they start questioning him. Here. Fuck. They start questioning him because it's the music. The music is just, I get in trouble with YouTube and the music thing. So what ends up happening is, he gets on and he's doing his testimony or whatever the case is, and what he said to the defense counsel isn't what he gave during his deposition to the prosecution. So what happens is, when the prosecution gets up and they start asking him questions and they saying, well, you didn't say this to us previously. Matter of fact, they'll just ask him questions and he was given contrary, or he was given different responses. So the prosecution says, well, this isn't what you said during the deposition. He says, I doesn't remember it. The prosecution then brings out the deposition that he had given, that when he was deposed, the information that he had given when he was deposed, and has him read it. This always makes the guy looks like a liar to me. To me, this always makes the person look like they're a liar. And if they're not lying, how do you remember what happened later on better than you remember what happened in the moment? That's 2. 3, witnesses are not really reliable. Not eyewitnesses, at least. So this is where he messed up, and this is where he might have screwed YNW Melly over. There's a part of his testimony where he says 4 of them got in one vehicle, 4 of them got in the other vehicle. They pulled off. They was headed back to Jamel house, YNW Melly's crib. He says at some point he had to school over, or YNW Melly had to climb over him, that's not important. At least not for what I'm saying right now. In order to get in the vehicle, because they stopped in the middle of the road to put him in the vehicle. So you got 2 cars headed to the same place. You got 4 people in this vehicle, 4 people in this vehicle. And what you're going to do is you're going to put 5 people in one vehicle and 3 people in the other vehicle. That's not where he messed up at, though. You want to know where he messed up at? He said that he was sleeping. He said they got in the vehicle and went to sleep. If you got in the vehicle and went to sleep, how do you know how long it was to YNW Melly got into the vehicle with you? How do you know if you was sleeping for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes? How many times do we close our eyes and we think we close our eyes for 2 minutes, and then we wake up and the program done went off? How often does that happen? You think you're closing your eyes for 20 minutes? What up? Shout out to Bushwick. The kid is back. Shout out to Bushwick. Just checking in. Bushwick in the building. What's your opinion? You think he gonna do time? I'm not really talking about my opinion. People took all of their likes back. It was at 20. If anybody want to hit that like button, fam. I said we got to get 20 likes. So all the people that hate me came in here and they hit the like button. Now they taking their likes back. Fam, people just got so much hate in their heart, fam. People just got so much hate in their heart, fam. Like, people just got so much hate in their heart, fam. I'm praying for all of y'all, fam. I pray that something happened to you in your life that you don't have all of this hate in you. That you could do something else other than hate. That you wake up every day to come to my live to just do hate. Every time I go live. That gotta be a sad life, man. That gotta be worse than any life I could have. Yeah, that gotta be worse than any life I could have. I never wake up in the morning and think about doing evil to other people. And I'm depressed as hell. So I could just imagine how fucked up your life gotta be. Like, your life gotta be shit. I don't know what you got. You could be a millionaire for all I know. But your life gotta be shit, man. You wake up every morning trying to hurt somebody else's feelings or make somebody depressed. Like, your life gotta be shit, man. I couldn't live like that. Anyway, let's get back to the show. I just couldn't live like that. I just couldn't live like that. I just couldn't live like that. Yeah, I just couldn't live like that. I wouldn't want to. I couldn't live like that. Anyway, I don't know what's gonna happen to me in my life, but I have to assume that I'm blessed, because to have to be so hard, so heavily hated, and to even have the little bit that I have to hold on to, and to be hated by so many for no reason. Anyway, Dude gave terrible testimony in my mind. He visually looked like he wasn't being very honest. I'm not saying he was or he wasn't. I'm saying he visually looked like he wasn't being very honest. In addition to that, he gave contrary testimony than what he gave in his deposition. Not a lot, but enough. In addition to that, in my opinion, he said a couple of things that just don't make common sense. So we got 4 people in the car, 4 people in this car, and we're going to take one person out this car and put him in that car, but we're not going to put one of the people from this car back in that car? What the fuck was going on in that car? Now, if the prosecution is particularly intelligent, which I don't find them to be, they're going to latch on to that point. They're not going to let the jury forget about that point, and they're going to use the point to their benefit. Okay, anybody think about how they could use that point to their benefit? As soon as I heard it, the first thing I thought was, these niggas is trying to fry themselves. They should have just stayed shut. They didn't have to do anything. The prosecution already effed up. The prosecution is doing a better defense for the defense than the defense. So they didn't necessarily have to call anybody. I think that they felt the need to call somebody because of the way that previous trials have recently went for people in the music industry. Tory Lanez, Taxstone. Tory Lanez should have took the stand. Taxstone shouldn't have. They were playing musical chairs. They was playing something. They was playing tiddlywinks. They was doing something. So if I was the prosecution, I would personally latch on to that point. Because, so basically, just so we could be clear, we're saying that the individuals got shot shortly after leaving the studio, correct? And we're saying that Bortland drove to the hospital by himself with the 2 victims in the car, right? Correct? And now we have the defense own person saying that YNW Melly got out of the car and got into the other car. Now, dude was asleep, so he can't say whether somebody was still alive in the other car or not. He said that he was asleep. He said that while he was asleep, what woke him up basically was them either climbing over the top of him or pushing him over so that YNW Melly could get in. It sounds more right that YNW Melly sat in the middle because he's the little guy. The little guy always sits in the middle. That's just a fact. That's just a fact of sitting in the back seat of a car, fam. You got 3 people in the back seat. You got 2 regular sized people or 2 complimentary sized people, and then you got another person who's smaller than the other 2 people. That person sits in the middle. Tell me where the lie's at. That's why I said it's of no consequence whether he was actually sitting in the middle of the car or whether he climbed over or whether he squeezed in. The important aspect is you're basically saying that YNW Melly got into the other vehicle. By saying that YNW Melly got into the other vehicle and you not being able to create a timeline for when he got into the vehicle, he could have got into the vehicle after the shooting happened. Prosecution, and I wonder if they're gonna pick up on that. They still gotta close the statement. So this is what I mean by you're not supposed to be trying to prove yourself to be innocent. All you're supposed to be proving is that the prosecution doesn't have a case. That's it. When you're busy trying to prove yourself to be innocent, you create other problems. I think that this is a problem that they've created. Even if the prosecution doesn't bring it up, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody in the jury talks about this, what this says. I wouldn't be surprised if the prosecution talked about it. I mean, the jury, without the prosecution saying anything. Dude said that he was asleep in the car and YNW Melly got in the car. That doesn't mean that YNW Melly couldn't have committed the crime before he got in the car. Dude don't know. Dude was asleep. If I was the prosecution while mentioning this, I'd mention something else also. You want to know what else I mentioned? Pretty simple. Basically, they don't know the timeline. Dude got in the car. He don't know when dude got in the car. He could have killed those dudes, and then they switched out cars. Don't nobody know. Nobody knows. We don't have the slightest idea. But one thing that he did do that's going to screw them up, he basically said, yeah, they said that it was a drive-by. Bortland, allegedly, they said, I believe, had gunpowder on his shoulder. There's no way that it could have been a drive-by. I'm going to say that again. Dude that took the stand co-signed that he was told it was a drive-by. So either somebody lied to him, and we really can't believe too much of his testimony because he don't know they lied to him. So what else did he say wasn't true? Or he's actively just lying. And in that case, his testimony, how much can you take his testimony? They've already, as far as forensics is concerned, proven that gunshot residue, as far as I know, was on Bortland's shoulder. Bortland was driving. Gunshot residue was on his shoulder. This is his left hand. That's the outside of the car. That's the passenger side of the car. Gunshot residue was on this shoulder. Like somebody reached over this shoulder and shot, and then shot. What up, New York urban legend? This is what I mean by y'all got to stop thinking that everybody needs to, you got to have a million witnesses. Some of your witnesses can hurt you more than they can help you, fam. I don't know how much that witness helped. What the witness did do was say YNW Melly was at home allegedly when the situation happened. But the witness couldn't get there without creating other problems. Remember, the jury is still was supposed to look at the validity or the believability. I don't want to get all the way in the show. The jury is still supposed to... Sheesh. The jury is still supposed to be thinking about the believability of the witness. They're not supposed to just take everything the witness say and say, it got to be, set it on the stand, it got to be the truth. Some witnesses lie. But I'm about to say something that I don't know if anybody paid attention to. Listen to this. Do you know if he gets found guilty, YNW Melly gets found guilty, do you understand how many other people are going to end up going to jail? You're not supposed to help people after they committed a crime. That's against the law, literally. Somebody commits a crime, you help them, you're a part of the crime. You help them conceal the crime. You help them hide from the responsibility of being held accountable for the crime. These, you help them conceal evidence. Concealing the crime and concealing evidence, two different things. These are crimes. What do you think is going to happen to Fredo? What do you think is going to happen to some of these guys that helped them? So, this is actually a pretty sticky case. New York urban legend saying he was home sleep threw everybody off. That's what they needed dude to say. But there was other things that dude said in his testimony, I think that might make it so that the jury might not believe him. I'm not saying he's telling a lie. I'm not saying he's telling the truth. I'm just saying that there was things that was in his testimony that were questionable. Dude said that they got in the car, everybody fell asleep, and then he says he woke up when he had to let YNW Melly into the vehicle because they were all sitting in the back. He had to let YNW Melly in the vehicle. So how do you know that how do you know how long you was in the car? You was asleep. Why did they let YNW Melly into that car? Why he just stay in the other car where there was room? That kind of makes it sound like there was a situation going on. That kind of make it sound like those guys were fighting. That kind of makes it sound like there could be a situation where violence could have happened or there was the potential of it. Why are you getting out of a car where everybody is sitting comfortably to go get in a car where everybody got to be cooped up and pressed up against each other? Who the fuck does that? He didn't give any explanation. He didn't say, yo, we needed to go get YNW Melly from the other car and be like, no, he got in the car and everybody went back to sleep. So you took one sleeping dude from one car to put him in the other car so he could just go back to sleep? I want to know how that makes sense. Remember, they're all allegedly going to the same location. Allegedly. Also, he made a point to say that the only people that had keys was YNW Melly and Portland. Those are the only people that allegedly had keys to the house. So why would they even get in the same car together? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Those are arguments that could be made by a better man, by a smarter person. What y'all think about this? Put it in the chat. Those are arguments that could be made by a smarter person. What else y'all want to put in the chat? What else y'all want to talk about? Put it in the chat. What do y'all think about this anyway? Who believes them? I don't really know if it matters because the prosecution has been so terrible. So I don't even know if it matters. I don't know if it matters. The prosecution has been terrible. I think his testimony helps the prosecution more than about 4 or 5 of the prosecution. More than not 4 or 5, I'm exaggerating. More than 2 of the prosecution, more than 2 of the witnesses I saw the prosecution call. I think his testimony might help them more than the witness, 2 of the witnesses the prosecution called. My opinion. I 100% believe if you got 2 people in there that don't believe he was home asleep, they're going to convince the rest. Because I don't think it's difficult. I don't think it's difficult to convince them that one guy might be lying. I don't think that's going to be difficult. I think if they don't put that guy on the stand, it actually probably benefits them more. I don't think the dude came off as believable. It looked to me like the dude came off like he wasn't being honest. The other guy that had the red on and I think the dreads that the prosecution called, he sounded like he was being honest. So I'm going to tell you about a thing. So there is Daredevil on Netflix. Great show, watch it. All 3 seasons. In one of the seasons, they have Frank Castle, the Punisher, take the stand. The Punisher takes the stand, and he just don't give a F. He telling on everybody. He telling everything. I'm going to give you another example. Omar from The Wire takes the stand. He straight up told people. They said, what you do for a living? He said, I rob drug dealers, man. He's just being all 100% honest. So I don't believe, and this is, these are obviously not true instances, but I do believe, these aren't real events, but I do believe that the people in the events that responded to what they did responded honestly. I think that individuals do understand that some people could be bad people and be honest. Like you could have done some bad things in your life, but not be a liar. You understand? You could have a moral standpoint that you have. You could have honor. You know, you just happen to also be a killer. You just happen to also take a couple people's lives. I mean, it is what it is. So I say all that to say, I do believe that they could believe one of those guys and not believe the other. Because the other dude came off as being honest. Was he a little vulgar? Was he saying some things that, maybe don't say? God said he wished he smoked before he came to court. He's just being honest. I don't know if the dude that took the stand in Melly's defense comes off as he's being honest. He doesn't come off as being honest to me. Anybody saw a dude? What y'all think about it? Put it in the chat. Also, if y'all want to talk about anything else, put that in the chat. Also, and if you want to, if you're enjoying any aspect of the show or you just want to support the platform, you can pull up to the Cash App, PayPal, or Super Chat. Also, I'm up for going for an adventure today. So if y'all want to go for an adventure, you can pull up to the Cash App, Super Chat. Or if you want to go for an adventure, you got to pull up to the Cash App or the PayPal. If y'all want to go on an adventure today, y'all can pull. I'm up to go up to an adventure today. I even changed my clothes. There was some actual clothes to go outside. Pardon. I don't really got on outside clothes right now. I just put on some clothes to do the live. This is not outside clothes. This is just, I just put on clothes to do the live. I ran to the store this morning. This isn't really outside clothes. This is just regular sitting around the house. These are the gum soles though. Let's go. And no, I wasn't trying to look like a chick, man. My fucking hip and my leg is messed up from basketball. These are the gum soles though. Anybody remember when the gum sole Uptowns first came, Air Force Ones or whatever the hell y'all call them? Anybody remember when the gum sole Air Force Ones first came out? We call them Uptowns and shit. For the people that wasn't in New York City, you will not be able to get it, man. You had to have a pair of gum soles, man. For the people that wasn't in New York City, you're not gonna get it. But you had to have some gum soles, man. You just had to. Like, for real, for real. They had to be in your rotation at some point. Put it in the chat. I want to know what y'all want to talk about. We can change the conversation. Dude, the dude said that they would sleep. Then he said they would sleep in the car. They drove all the way home. And then they went back out to Fredo Bang's crib? I guess after they allegedly heard about the situation? He said YNW Melly cried. And when he said YNW Melly cried, I want y'all to all go watch the video replay. The way he looked at YNW Melly when he said that, fam. I don't know what this is. I hope this is just. I hope this ain't cat shit, fam. I hope this is like this. It might be cat shit, or it might be lint from a dryer. I don't have to slice it. Anyway, no, it's not cat shit. Making jokes. It's not cat shit. I'm making jokes. What else y'all want to talk about? Put it in the chat. It's only a minute and four. It's only an hour and 4 minutes in. Y'all done? There's nothing else y'all want to talk about? That's it? I know most of y'all at work and all, but is there anything else y'all want to talk about? Put it in the chat. I pace a lot, man. I just pace a lot, man. If you get it, you get it. Okay, not just ambiguous, broad questions? Is there any specific questions about things happening in pop culture or social media that you would like to discuss? Like, yo, what's happening in New York? There's a lot of things happening in New York City. Right now, the sun's shining. You want to know what else is happening in New York City? Fuck it, I'll tell you. You see where we have this shade right here, and then right there, there's no shade. That's also happening in New York City. Please, can you be a little bit more direct? There's air in New York City. I can tell you about that. There's air. Oh, man. Hey. Oh, beautiful. Anything else y'all want to discuss? Put it in the chat. All right, I'm assuming the insult is next. Throw the insult. Throw the insult, fam. Just get it over with. Come on, just get it over with. Throw the insult. All right. That's usually what people say before they insult me. They come in here and they say, oh, I've been watching your channel since XYZ. And then they just start insulting me. People always come up to me and they try to be nice and then they just start insulting me. So, what up, Ben Roman? He says, morning, Mr. Frost. All is good. We having a blessed day. Today's a blessed day. The sun is out. We doing whatever we doing. It's a good day, fam. Appreciate you. You sent me some stuff. I'm going to try to talk about it later. I'm going to try to do a live later and discuss it. You from UK? Shout out to UK. Shout out to our family across the pond. That's a fact. What up, Nick the Slick? I don't know what you playing, homie. I mean, I don't have the slightest idea. I don't remember your name. If I remember your name, I would have said I remembered your name. Are you gonna then now, pretend like I did something to you and be the victim? I mean, fuck it. Everybody else does. People are always pretending I'm doing stuff to them when I'm not really doing anything. It's okay. Just get it over with. What up, Nick the Slick? He says, what's up, Jack? What's going on in politics? I don't know. Anything in politics specific you want to address? That's usually how I like to start those conversations. You're right about the everyday above ground is a good day. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, fam. Even every day's a good day, fam. Even the bad ones. Yeah. You have your usual opinions. We start at the topic. Tell me what you think. Okay, so basically we'll get back into it since we have somebody in here that want to discuss it. The question is, do you think YNW Melly's one defense witness was believable? Do you think that individual is going to help him? Put it in the comments. I want to know what you think. And I want to know what you thought about the testimony. I don't know did you see the testimony or did you just hear about it? Zed, I was not trying to come for you. Just so we could be clear, I was not trying to come for you. Wasn't trying to come for you. All right, what's the reason? Put it in the chat. You know I like to discuss actual things. Thank you, fam. People like coming in here and just saying something to me and saying, I think this. And I'd be like, why do you think it? Oh, I just do. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, you good, Zed? I mean, you good. If you don't do the disrespect, I'm cool. I just usually expect for people to come in, pretend like like they good people, and then just randomly just start disrespecting me for no reason. Like that's usually what happens, man. So go, Ben Roman. I'm here. I'm waiting. Remember, you got to do it in clips. You can't just write everything you think in one statement. You don't got enough character. I want to know who thinks that guy was believable or don't think he was believable. Somebody yesterday, I think it was Ben Roman, was saying that they didn't think the guy was believable. So I decided to talk about that this morning. Good to hear, Zed. Ben Roman says, my reasoning I don't believe him is because he testified that Melly was with him and his boys, but put my keys in my pocket before I accidentally lock myself outside. I think he had shaky testimony. I think his testimony wasn't as shaky as the dude from Connecticut that Taxstone and his people called up. I think they had no choice but to call that guy up, by the way, because of things that had happened. With the bubble check, they was legit. What you mean by with the bubble check? Ben Roman says, why is he the only one who testified instead of Melly boys who was there should have testified? If he was true, he was the only one to testify. I don't think that's a good enough reason to think he was lying. Good morning. Too much sun? Too much sun? Too much sun. No, I don't. Okay, so you do understand that some of the people might not be able to testify because if they get on the stand, the prosecution are going to ask them questions that might fuck them over. So everybody can't always testify. So I don't want to use that as a barometer. Like, imagine how many of them dudes, like, let's say everything happened 100% the way that Melly is saying it's happening, just for argument's sake. He really didn't do anything. He really wasn't there. He really got in the other vehicle. There really was a drive-by or whatever the fuck. Just he really didn't do it, right? But the only people that could testify for him is people that if they get on the stand, the prosecution is going to want them to talk about crimes. Or they're going to have to expose themselves in a manner that they might become liable for a different crime. Or they might want to talk about the person's history and put it out there to a point where so not everybody could take the stand. You understand what I'm saying? Also, some of these people might actively be in the street committing other crimes. That's the point that I'm trying to make. So not everybody could take the stand. So I don't want to use that as a barometer. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't enough people where I could say it should have been more. If we're talking about 20, 30 people, then yeah, it should have been more. If we're talking about the situation like what happened with Taxstone, it should have been more. There was a lot of people in that room. You understand what I'm saying? But we're not talking about that. We're talking about a situation where maybe 8 people should be the main people that's involved. 2 of them is gone, so they not here no more, right? So that leaves 6. The other 2 on trial, so that leaves 4. You got 1 out of 4. So I don't know if, and mainly depending on the testimony in which he did give, I don't know if I want to say they didn't have more people testifying, so that's why I don't believe him. Also, if you're going to have people basically getting on to testify to the same thing that the last person testified to, what you're gonna do? You're gonna have 3 or 4 people get up there and repeat the same thing that the last person said. I don't know if how helpful that is. Maybe 2, but I don't know. You know. Ben Roman says they could always plead the fifth though if Axe Melly's witness anything they could incriminate themselves. So okay, not a problem. So you have a witness on the stand that's trying to say that somebody else did not commit a crime, correct? And you want them to then tell the jury when they're asked about their own criminality, I plead the fifth. I got that clear? I'm not coming for you. We're just having a discussion. But am I clear on that? Like I think that's the route to go. Zed says I was following the Melly trial on YouTube a month ago. What's the latest? I hear you talking about the witnesses. We're literally just talking about it. We're talking about it right now. You could just, I guess, pay attention. So generally speaking, if you have a witness take the stand, you don't necessarily want to have a witness on the stand that's going to keep saying, I plead the fifth. Every time they ask him about himself. Like, is you a criminal? I plead the fifth. Do you kill people? I plead the fifth. Do you sell drugs? I plead the fifth. Okay, so was the guy there? Nah, he wasn't there when it happened. My boy. My boy. Oh, man. I guess that'll work, fam. I don't know. I don't know, fam. I guess that'll work. Oh, man. You know, part of being a witness is also being believable, right? You know that, right? You gotta also be believable. That's part of being a witness. You can't, if you're a witness and you're just not believable, they should not call you. You are 100% hurting the case more than helping it. If you are a witness and you basically have to say, I plead the fifth to almost everything. So I don't think that would be a way to go. I don't think that would be the way to go. Good morning. I'm not disturbing you, am I? Okay. So I don't think that'd be the way to go, in my opinion. I think that you call witnesses up that have credibility. I think that when a witness has a lack of credibility, even if they saw everything, even if they know everything, I think that there's a problem calling them to the stand. Because if you are the opposing counsel, all you need to do is discredit them by exposing that they have a lack of credibility. So then that makes it so that whatever they actually do say, it's not gonna. How seriously could the jury take it? So, I mean, literally, you know, I'm not BSing. I'm saying what it is. You know, I'm not BSing. I'm saying what it is. So, the lack of credibility is definitely would not call that guy to the stand. Also, generally speaking, a defense counsel has to be, for lack of a better term, more clever than the prosecution sometimes. And sometimes being more clever than somebody is just simply knowing when to do nothing. I kept telling you that the prosecution messed this case up from the rip. The prosecution has did a terrible time with this case. I don't know if the defense needed to actually do anything. And I don't know if there's anything that the defense could actually do. I guess that's more of what it is. I can't see a thing, you know. The defense had so much evidence already removed from the trial, you know, deemed inadmissible for whatever the reasons are. Mainly because the prosecution was just terrible at their job, not for nothing. So I don't know if you call a witness. I don't know if there's a need to call a witness. I just don't know if there's a need. I personally believe that at the last minute, Montgomery Esquire, I believe that if he could have not called two of those witnesses that he called, he wouldn't have. I think he had to call them because there was some malfeasance that they were being accused of. So I think that was the main reason why they actually called two of the witnesses. Only one of the witnesses had anything worth any value to basically say, and they basically co-signed everything that Troy Ave said. They needed them to discredit some of what Troy Ave said, but her testimony didn't. It co-signed what Troy Ave said. Can I say something real quick? I want to say something real quick, and it has to do with depositions. So, allegedly, I don't know how true this is. Allegedly, Troy Ave, I don't know if he was deposed more than once or not, but allegedly, the prosecution was accused, pardon me, factually, the prosecution was accused of allegedly helping Troy Ave with his story. Troy Ave came in allegedly, I'm not saying that he did, but the defense counsel, Taxstone's defense counsel, had accused the prosecution of helping Troy Ave create the narrative in which they did. So I say all that to say this. If that is by chance true, I don't know if it's true, I don't know if this is a practice that is actually done by the prosecution. I'm not accusing anybody of this. I'm saying that this is an accusation that was made. If that's actually what was done, that means that often when people go get deposed, the prosecution could just get whoever their witnesses is to change their story to make it align with the prosecution, with the defense teams, enough to get people caught up. And the only reason why I'm mentioning this is because everything she said was what Troy Ave said. But who got deposed first? I think she got deposed second, just so we could be clear. So that's not applicable in this particular situation. But, like, how often does that happen? So I say all that to say this. In this particular YNW Melly trial, when homeboy was deposed, he said little tiny things that don't necessarily change the narrative. But the prosecution is trying to make it seem like he's changing the narrative, and he's trying to say something that is monumentally different than what is already the information that is known, other than the point that YNW Melly wasn't there. She tried to say, oh, did he climb over you or did you scoot over? Like, that doesn't even matter. Like, you have the jury focusing on something that isn't important. The only thing that's important is, how can you tell how long you was in the car and y'all was driving when he got into the car with you if you was sleeping? You said you was sleeping. So how do you know whether y'all was in the car for 15 minutes or 45 minutes? We've all taken naps before, fam. You could take a nap and think that you've been sleeping for 8 hours and wake up and it's 20 minutes later. Or you could take a nap and you just think that you just laid down and you wake up and the sun's out of the sky. The moon's up. So how can he possibly know how long they were driving when YNW Melly got into the vehicle with them? I don't understand why that wasn't a more important aspect to talk about, other than where he sat at when he got in the damn car. I don't understand these people. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. These people are actual lawyers, fam. I'm on the internet. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. That's all I could question. Because I would think that the more important conversation would be, in my opinion, the more important conversation would be the time frame when this happened to the time frame when that happened to the time frame when that happened. Not who was sitting in the car, who they were sitting next to, and how y'all got in the car together. And then the next thing I would ask is, why did he switch cars? It was 4 people in this car and 4 people in that car. Why did y'all need 5 people in one car and 3 people in the other? Like, what the hell, fam? So y'all was sitting comfortably and y'all just decided that was just too much? We can't stand for this. I've had enough and I can't stand no more. We ain't sitting this comfortably no more. So I want to know what happened. So these are the things that individual is saying, that if you want to attack his credibility, you can attack his logic. Like, that don't even make sense. Was there a reason why they needed to switch cars? Well, okay, so was there a reason why they didn't set the cars up like that in the beginning? So you have no answers for any of these things. All of these things, you have 0 answers. Put it in the chat. What else y'all want to talk about? Zero answers. Now do y'all understand why when people be talking to me and they be trying to tell me about some shit, and I just be like, I don't understand the logic, man. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I don't understand the logic. If you are enjoying this show this morning, you can always pull up to the Cash App, the PayPal, and or the Super Chat. If y'all pulling up to the PayPal or the Cash App, we're going to have an adventure today. If we get enough people pulling up to the PayPal and the Cash App, we're going to go outside and have an adventure today. Go do something. Maybe we go to Midtown. I've been thinking about having some cheesecake. What's the best cheesecake, not a restaurant, but the best regular bakery in New York City that has cheesecakes? Why don't we go there today? Sample some cheesecakes. What else y'all want to talk about? Put it in the chat. Yeah, we go sample some cheesecakes today. Pull up to the Cash App or the PayPal. We go sample some cheesecakes today. If it's looking like that's something we do something. We go pull up, go outside, do something. That's if y'all want to, though. They got this cheesecake place on Flatbush that I used to go to all the time. Kendra lived out in, she doesn't live there no more, so I say it. But Kendra lived out there near, is that Canarsie? I guess. And so there's this cheesecake place that's at the last stop on the 2 train. And I used to, every time I used to go to Kendra's house, I used to always stop off there and buy, well, she didn't eat cheesecake as much as I ate cheesecake, so I always bought me one. But I generally used to buy us both cheesecakes every time. Skip the cheesecake. You into football, not the American vision. I have no idea what you're talking about. Frost, I'm supposed to disqualify all the forensic evidence and the prosecution presented because Melly's friend got in the stand and blew up the entire prosecution's case. Which forensic evidence? I think more forensic evidence was actually not used than used. They don't have Melly's DNA, I don't believe. Do they got Melly's DNA? I don't think they have Melly's DNA. I don't know if they have Melly with gunshot residue. Allegedly, he changed his clothes, so they don't have him with no clothes. Which evidence are you talking about specifically, so I can make sure that I'm, you know, properly informed, so I could respond appropriately. But no, I don't think anybody should ever disqualify any evidence unless there's testimony specifically disqualifying that specific evidence. Period. Also, I think having someone say he was home helps him, whether the person's telling the truth, lying, and or whether anybody believes him or not. I just believe that there was other things that he said during his testimony that I don't know if it was worth the hassle. I don't know if it was worth the chance. There's no DNA evidence nor gunshot residue. No, not that I know of. Shout out to Soul Brother #1. Salute. When you joining the green team again, my brother? That's why I'm asking him. Which evidence is he talking about? The trajectory of the bullets fired. Okay, but the trajectory of the bullets fired doesn't put YNW Melly at the scene. It also doesn't put the gun in his hand. It doesn't do anything. It just says that the bullets was fired at this trajectory. So what evidence? I'm being fair, fam. What evidence? Which cell phone evidence are you speaking on? No cell phone evidence I know of was thrown out. But what they are saying is that the defense is saying that wasn't YNW Melly on the cell phone. The prosecution had the dude that just took the stand that we're talking about basically say everybody used YNW Melly's cell phone, not just him. It was basically a community phone. And the actual detective or defective, because that guy was terrible, the actual detective said that the text that had went out, I did that the person wrote that THAT, and YNW Melly and no other time wrote THAT. He always wrote DAT. So the defense kind of has that covered. I'm always as fair as possible, fam. I don't have a horse in any of these races. I don't have a horse in any of these races. I hope everybody's having a beautiful day this morning. If you are enjoying, because I was supposed to have said this shit about 15 times already, and I probably only said it like twice. If you are enjoying the show, pull up to the Cash App, the PayPal, and or the Super Chat. And also, you could join the Green Team. That's one of the best ways that you can help the platform is by joining the Green Team and going to our merch shop and purchasing some goods. I'm supposed to say that like every 15 to 20 minutes, but I'll be going like 40 minutes without saying it, and I'll be going like an hour without saying it, and sometimes I go a whole show without saying it. But YouTube says that you're supposed to like repeat that like every 15, 20 minutes or some shit. What happened is I used to say it enough, but then I started getting criticized for saying it enough. Because every time I would say it, like people would be in the chat. So somebody would come into the chat and I'll say it and people would be like, I'm talking directly to that person. When I'm not, it's time to say it. So now I try not to say it if somebody comes into the room. What else y'all want to talk about? Put it in the chat. Your man came out and said that he's not gay. Hold on. I want to talk about this real quick. So Little J had said everybody said, well, they put some video footage out of Little J saying that he was gay in jail or whatever the fuck, I don't know. So Little J came out and said he's not gay, whatever the case is. But I'm gonna tell you what I found funny. The other dude, King Yella, said Little J tried to kiss him or something. I'm like, huh? Whatever. But that's not the part that I found funny. How did King Von's sister say she knew Little J was gay after they had a fight? You could be, y'all high, y'all popping pills. You could be mistaken about that dude trying to kiss you. I'm just saying what it is. It could just be a mistake. Also, y'all popping pills. Somebody could have gave him some weirdo shit, and he could just be acting outside of his mind. That could happen also. So it is what it is. Somebody tell me somebody popping pills and they do some weird shit. You popping pills, fam. I expect weird shit to happen. But when homegirl says, I knew the dude was gay after I fought him, I don't know what's crazy about that sentence. So you supposed to be a whole Chirac gangster out there in shootouts and you fighting chicks? How do you fight a chick, fam? Okay, this is what I mean. I couldn't fight a little kid. Like me, let's say me and a 10-year-old got into it. That wouldn't be a fight. Let's say Mike Tyson got into it with the average man on the street. That wouldn't be a fight. You get what I'm saying? Let's say if Deontay Wilder and Robert De Niro squared up. That wouldn't be a fight. I don't know what to tell you, fam. What else y'all want to talk about? Put it in the chat. Thought that was funny. That man spent most of his life in jail. Let him be whatever the hell he is, fam. Why people even so concerned? Let him be whatever he is, fam. He spent most of his life in jail. He don't even have access to women. I keep telling y'all gotta be mindful of them dudes that go to jail, come out, be out for 2-3 months, and then end up going back to jail over stupid shit. Then they come back out whenever they get out 3-4 years later, and then they out for another 10-15 minutes, and the next thing you know, they locked up in jail again on some stupid shit. They going back to jail on purpose, fam. That's where they husband at, or they wife, or who else they have. I'm gonna tell you what I did find interesting though. After they dropped those videos about this dude saying that he gay, whether he's gay or not, I think he was just lying because he ain't want to go into the dorm with his ops, King Von. After they dropped that shit, they dropped King Von beating people up in jail and all that other stuff, trying to show you he wasn't a sucker. Y'all gotta stop thinking niggas is a sucker because they don't want to fight when they at the disadvantage, fam. Some people just been jumped enough, fam. Like, when you could actually fight, you've been jumped a lot of times. There's a good chance of it. Like, you've been jumped a couple of times, man. You understand what I'm saying? Like, That's the shit that killed me. Like when you could actually fight, niggas done jump you. Some niggas just don't want to go through that hassle. Some people just don't want to get jumped. What's up? We done? That's it? That's the end of the show? What time we got? I ain't start early today, right? Now I started on time. So that's it? That's the end of the show? Nothing else y'all want to talk about? I'll give it a minute. If there's anything else y'all want to talk about, we'll discuss it. I realized I used to use I not use, but I used to be on this show all the time, and I'd be trying to manifest stuff for me, manifest stuff for y'all guys. I noticed because of, and it's just something I recently realized. I noticed because of all the hate that I deal with, I never try to manifest anything anymore. Like literally because of all the hate that I deal with, like I don't even be wanting anything anymore. Like, so I need to try to start getting back to manifesting. That's one. Two, I want to say this. I need to start dealing with people who know what manifesting is. Because there's been times I try to manifest something and it don't manifest, so people didn't try to say I lied. I didn't lie. I tried to manifest the thing. You didn't have your heart in it. I had my heart in it. I tried to manifest it with you. You wasn't in it 100. You was in it halfway, foot in, 1 foot out. So the shit didn't work. So now I'm literally over here, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I have a lot of trepidation when it comes to trying to manifest something in my life. I have a lot of trepidation sometimes when it comes to talking to God about things that I need. Be good people out there in the world, fam. If somebody is asking you to help them hurt another person, I don't care what kind of excuse they're using. They're gonna always try to say they're trying to help the individual, or they're gonna either try to say they're trying to help the individual, or they're gonna try to accuse the individual of being a bad person. So we gotta hurt them lives. Please don't get involved in shit like that, man. Have better class. There's a lot of good people out here that don't really know any good people, man. There's a lot of good people out here that don't really ever come in contact or feel like they come in contact with other good people. All right, I'm gonna assume we're done. There's no more comments. I don't know what you guys want to talk about, and I'm done talking about this topic. So I'm gonna let y'all go. I'll give you one more, I guess, another minute. If there's anything else y'all want to discuss, put it into the chat. But I'm done talking on this topic. I don't want to talk on this topic no more for the rest of the show. So if y'all got something else y'all want to discuss, put it up. I'll give it a minute. Some senators pulled up in here on Tuesday, but I didn't know. I wish I would have knew. I would have had y'all in there live. We would have been video. We would have been taking footage of the situation. I just didn't know they was live. They page. I gotta start going to their page more often. I gotta talk to them. They page don't do. You don't. Their page is invisible. Like I'm gonna say something real quick. a lot of y'all might not notice, but when you post to Instagram, a lot of times your whatever you post don't pop up like in wide circulation for people, unless like a day or two later, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. So you could post something, and they'll only show it to a select few people. Maybe 1,000 people, maybe 100, maybe 200, maybe 2,000 people, but it don't go out in circulation to everybody. You understand what I'm saying? So, and especially somebody that might have a lot of people that they follow, they might not see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they might follow 2,000 people, and out of the 2,000 people they follow, maybe 1,500 of them post consistently. You don't. So the 1,500, their shit is gonna come through my screen first. You understand what I'm saying? Now they posting 4, 5, 6 photos and shit like that a day. You post once, twice, every couple of weeks. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna be in the feed. You understand? Anyway, that's posting the Instagram 101. It's a lot more complicated than that, but I guess that's just the most rudimentary way that I could explain what I'm trying to say, at least. So I wish I would have knew. I would have been over there. I could have asked some questions. I could have definitely, like, just, ask some questions, probably speak with them. Hobnob. Who knows? I'm pretty good at interviewing politicians. I think I'm better at interviewing politicians than I am at interviewing street niggas. To be honest with you. Because the politicians, I can ask them whatever. Street people, I got to be careful I don't fucking get them locked up and put in jail over nothing. Politicians already know how to deal with the media, so I can ask them whatever I want, and they know how to respond back without getting themselves caught up. Street niggas go on Vlad, and the next thing you know, they having a house raided for a murder that was committed 35 years ago or some shit like that, 30 years ago. I think I'm a better interviewer of a politician. I think when I've interviewed politicians, I've done, except for with the Snow Billy interview. That interview was lit. The Snow Billy interview was lit. We did an interview with Miss Treyway that was pretty good also. The Corey King interview, we had a couple of those that was pretty good. But I think I just feel more comfortable interviewing politicians. You don't have to worry about shit going sideways, and then, you interview street niggas, shit goes sideways, and anything could happen. Next thing you know, tell somebody, you gotta be careful about what you tell niggas. I told a nigga we gonna do a podcast. We actually did do a podcast. We did a podcast for a couple of months. Then the motherfucker got mad at me because we couldn't do the podcast no more. And they pretended like I never did a podcast with him. So. That's why I'm so slow to get into a podcast with anybody right now. Because let's say we do the podcast and we get involved in the podcast and it's not a good fit. Now I'm stuck there forever, or people are gonna accuse me of doing something wrong. You know what I mean? Shout out to that guy. Alright, we don't got no more to talk about. I'm gonna let y'all go. Everybody, have a beautiful day, man. Go out there, do something worth doing, and stamp God's name on it. Let people know that you come in the name of the Lord. Like, comment, subscribe, join the notification game. Hashtag Bronx Bombers. Let's get it. I love y'all. Take care of each other. Hug the kids for me. I haven't forgotten about you, and that's all I got on this one. Bye.